This is lesson 5.3, example 4, and we're going to be going over writing an equation of a transformation. So the question they've given us here is what radical function is represented in the graph? So the first thing we need to do is figure out what kind of radical is this, and when we look at it, we notice that it only has one side designated with an arrow, which tells me that this is in fact a square root. Because if it was a cubed root, it would have two arrows, just like the ones that we graphed in example 1b. So this is a square root, which means the parent function is y equals the square root of x. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch that in. That parent function is typically centered on the origin and has points at 1, 1, 4, 2, and then way off on the side, it has a point at 9, 3. So typically, this is our parent function. So now we've got to figure out what has changed. So the first thing that I'm noticing is that my new graph, the blue graph, has definitely shifted down. So we did move down 5 units. So that's going to be our k. And since we moved down, k is going to be -5. We also notice that not only did this move down, but it also moved to the left. Three units. And since it's to the left, we know that h is going to equal -3. And when we plug that into our equation, we're going to have minus and negative, and it will become positive. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. You've got y equals a square root x minus -3 minus 5. So we've got our h and our k in place, and we can go ahead and rewrite this term here. Instead of minus and negative, we can fill in with a positive. So right now we've got a times the square root of x plus 3 minus 5 at the end. Now the last thing we need to do is figure out what our a value is. So in order to do that, we're going to pick a point on the graph. So I'm going to pick the point -2, -2, and we're going to plug those values in for x and y and solve for a. So you've got -2 equals a times the square root of -2 plus 3 minus 5. So we've got -2 equals a times the square root of 1 minus 5. -2 equals a times the square root of 1, which is 1. So it's a minus 5. And to solve for a, we're going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides. And we get a equals 3. So now we can go ahead, back up to our original function and replace our a with 3. And there is our equation of the graph. Now go ahead and try problem 4a on page 123 in your workbook. We will not be doing problem 4b, so do not worry about it. 4a only.